Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever felt that burning desire to fire back at someone who wronged you? That urge to defend yourself, to make them feel the weight of your words? We've all been there. But today I want to introduce you to a weapon far more powerful than words. A tool that creates a deeper impact and leaves a stronger impression. Silence. Silence is one of the most underestimated tools of influence and power. When you choose to remain silent, you're not just withholding words, you're shifting the dynamics of the entire situation. You are stepping out of the game others expect you to play, and in doing so, you change the rules. Silence takes the attention off what was said and forces the other party to reckon with their own actions, their own thoughts, and the implications of what they've done or said. They begin to fill the empty space with their own interpretations, their own discomfort, and their own realizations. This is the power of silence. It makes the other person more accountable to themselves than they ever would be to you. Think about how most conflicts or confrontations go. One person says something, the other responds, and the cycle continues. Each word building tension, each phrase escalating the stakes. It's a game of back and forth volleys, a never-ending battle to see who gets the final word or who delivers the most devastating point. But silence? Silence is unexpected. It interrupts this rhythm completely. It takes away the fuel from the fire. By refusing to engage, you force the other person to pause, to reflect on what they've said or done, and to experience the full weight of the moment without your participation. That moment of reflection is where the real transformation begins, and it would never happen if you simply continued to play into the same cycle of verbal exchange. In the absence of words, there is a space. This space can be uncomfortable, even unbearable for many people. Most are not accustomed to sitting with the echoes of their own actions, and that discomfort becomes louder and louder in silence. They start to overanalyze the situation, questioning what your silence might mean. Is it anger? Without words to anchor the moment, they are left to face the uncertainty, and in doing so, they often confront truths they had been avoiding. They begin to wonder not about your response, but about their own behavior. They replay their actions, looking for clues, questioning whether they crossed a line or missed something important. This internal reflection is far more impactful than any words you could have said, because it forces them to hold a mirror up to themselves. Furthermore, silence is a demonstration of control. When you choose silence, you are not reacting impulsively or emotionally. Instead, you're showing that you are in charge of yourself in the situation. You're saying, without saying a word, that you will not be dragged into chaos or lose your composure. This control is powerful because it sets a tone, one that others cannot easily disrupt. When someone sees that they cannot provoke you or draw you into their storm, they start to lose the grip they thought they had on you. This isn't about dominance. It's about composure. It's about maintaining your equilibrium when someone else is trying to knock you off balance. Silence is the ultimate declaration that you are not a puppet to anyone else's emotions, words, or actions. When you shift the power dynamic through silence, you are also prioritizing your own energy. Engaging in unnecessary arguments or confrontations takes a toll. It drains your mental and emotional reserves. But silence conserves your strength. It allows you to rise above the immediate noise and focus on what truly matters. By not giving in to the bait of conflict, you are saying that your peace is more valuable than their attempt to provoke you. This not only benefits you in the short term by preserving your energy, but also reinforces your long-term sense of self-respect and inner confidence. The person who can remain silent in the face of provocation is the person who commands the room. There is a magnetism in the restraint, a quiet power that others can feel even if they don't fully understand it. You've shifted the focus entirely, taking the narrative out of their hands and turning it inward onto them. Silence makes the loudest statement of all. It says you are in control, unbothered, and unshakable. In that space, you've created an environment where the other party has no choice but to confront themselves. And that confrontation is far more impactful than any argument or explanation you could have offered. Silence changes everything. Silence has a way of amplifying the actions of others in a way that words cannot. When someone does or says something that affects you, their natural expectation is for a response. People are wired to expect reactions because it gives them a sense of control and closure. When you remain silent instead, you take away that expectation, leaving them to deal with the aftermath of their actions. This absence of immediate feedback forces them to reflect on what they've done. Without your input to guide the narrative, they are left with their own words and behavior as the primary point of focus, and this reflection can be one of the most powerful consequences they experience. Silence works because it shifts the spotlight. When you respond with words, the attention turns to what you're saying. The focus moves away from the other person's actions and onto your reaction. This creates a distraction, a place for them to direct their energy, often allowing them to sidestep the true weight of what they've done. But silence leaves no distractions. It holds up a metaphorical mirror, forcing the other person to see themselves clearly without interference. They are left alone with their thoughts, replaying their actions and interpreting your silence in ways that can lead to deeper self-awareness. When silence is used effectively, it becomes an act of accountability. It's easy for people to justify or rationalize their behavior when there's an exchange of words. They can twist your responses, argue their point, or even deflect the blame onto you. But when you choose not to engage, you deny them the opportunity to distort the situation. Your silence speaks volumes. It communicates that their actions are theirs to own, without any external validation or opposition. In that moment, they are forced to consider their motives, their tone, and their impact in a way they might not have otherwise. The discomfort of silence is something many people struggle with. Most are not accustomed to sitting with their own thoughts for extended periods, especially when those thoughts are tied to feelings of guilt, shame, or regret. When you choose silence, you're not just withholding a reaction, you're creating a vacuum. This vacuum draws their focus inward, often leading them to question themselves more deeply than they would if you had responded. They might ask themselves, did I go too far? Was I unfair? Did I misjudge the situation? These questions wouldn't surface as easily in the noise of an argument, but silence creates the space for introspection. Silence also prevents escalation. When conflicts arise, the natural progression is for words to build on each other, often leading to heightened emotions and a loss of perspective. But silence halts this progression. It creates a pause, a moment of stillness in which the intensity of the situation begins to dissipate. This stillness is where clarity often emerges, not just for you, but for the other person as well. Without the constant back and forth, they have a chance to see the situation in a new light, and this can lead to realizations they might not have had otherwise. Another significant aspect of silence is its ability to make the other person question their assumptions. When you respond verbally, they can interpret your tone, your words, and your intent. They can use these cues to build their own narrative about the situation. But silence removes these cues entirely. It forces them to fill in the blanks, and in doing so, they often project their own feelings onto the situation. You can look at somebody in the eye and know what it is they are thinking when they say it. This projection can lead to a deeper understanding of their own emotions and motivations, as they are left to grapple with what your silence might mean. Silence is not a passive act, it's an active choice. It's a way of taking control of a situation without adding to it. It's about shifting the focus back onto the other person and allowing their actions to stand alone without the distraction of your response. This shift creates a powerful dynamic, one where the other person is compelled to face their own behavior head on. In this way, silence becomes a tool for reflection, accountability, and ultimately growth. When you let someone sit in a space created by your silence, you give them an opportunity to see themselves more clearly than they ever would in the noise of an argument. Silence is one of the most effective ways to protect your energy and maintain your peace. In a world that constantly demands reactions, explanations, and engagement, choosing not to respond is a radical act of self-care and self-control. Every time you engage in unnecessary arguments, debates, or conflicts, you are spending energy that could be better used elsewhere. The more you give your time and energy to trivial matters or toxic interactions, the less you have for yourself, your goals, and the things that truly matter. Silence allows you to conserve that energy and redirect it in ways that align with your purpose and values. When someone provokes you, their goal is often to elicit a reaction. Whether it's through criticism, manipulation, or outright hostility, their words are designed to pull you into their energy. When you respond, you're essentially meeting them where they are, lowering yourself to their level of chaos or negativity. But when you choose silence, you refuse to step into their arena. You hold onto your energy instead of giving it away. And that choice protects your peace. You are not obligated to match their energy or let their actions disrupt your inner balance. Silence becomes your shield, creating a barrier between their negativity and your well-being. Protecting your energy is not just about avoiding conflict, it's about creating space for the things that truly nourish you. Every interaction you have takes something from you, whether it's your time, your focus, or your emotional bandwidth. Engaging in unnecessary arguments depletes these resources, leaving you drained and distracted. Silence, on the other hand, keeps those resources intact. Field to second, summer, field to third, field to second, the word of the day. It allows you to stay centered and grounded, preserving your capacity to invest in what truly matters to you. This isn't about avoidance, it's about prioritization. It's about deciding that your peace is more valuable than proving a point or winning an argument. Another powerful aspect of silence is that it prevents you from absorbing negative energy. When you engage with someone who is being aggressive, critical, or manipulative, it's easy to internalize their negativity. Their words and actions can linger in your mind long after the interaction is over, affecting your mood and mindset. But when you choose silence, you block that energy from entering your space. You don't allow their negativity to take root in your thoughts or emotions. Instead, you let it pass by, untouched and unacknowledged, preserving your inner harmony. Silence also gives you the opportunity to reflect and respond from a place of clarity. When you're provoked, your first instinct might be to react immediately, often in ways that you later regret. But silence creates a pause, a moment to breathe and gather your thoughts. In that pause, you gain perspective. You can assess the situation more objectively, deciding whether it's even worth your time and energy to respond. Often you'll find that the best response is no response at all. This clarity allows you to stay in control of your actions, rather than being driven by impulsive reactions or emotional triggers. Moreover, silence is a statement of self-respect. When you choose not to engage in unnecessary conflicts, you're saying to yourself, I value my peace, my time, and my energy too much to waste them here. This act of self-respect reinforces your boundaries, making it clear to others that you will not be pulled into their chaos. Over time, people begin to understand that you are not someone who can be easily provoked or manipulated. They learn to approach you differently with more respect and consideration because they see that you hold yourself to a higher standard. The decision to stay silent is a powerful one because it prioritizes your inner world over external noise. It's a reminder that you are in control of where your energy goes and that you don't have to give it away to anyone who demands it. Silence protects you from being drained by unnecessary conflicts and allows you to focus on what truly matters. It keeps you aligned with your values, grounded in your purpose, and connected to your peace. Choosing silence is not a weakness, it's a strength, a way of standing firm in your power and refusing to let anyone disrupt your balance or drain your energy. Silence is one of the most effective ways to disrupt the natural progression of conflict. When two people are engaged in a disagreement, there is often a predictable rhythm to the interaction. One person speaks, the other responds, and the cycle continues to escalate. This back and forth exchange fuels the intensity of the situation, often leading to heightened emotions and an increasing loss of control. Silence interrupts this pattern completely. It creates a pause, a break in the flow that stops the escalation in its tracks. By refusing to engage, you shift the momentum of the conflict and take control of the dynamic. In most arguments, people are not just reacting to the situation itself, they are reacting to each other. When someone says something provocative, it elicits an emotional response, which in turn provokes another reaction. This chain reaction keeps building until the original issue is overshadowed by the emotions and tension that have taken over. Silence disrupts this cycle because it removes one of the key components, your response. Without your input, the other person has nothing to react to, and the momentum of the conflict begins to lose steam. The absence of words forces a moment of stillness, and in that stillness, the intensity begins to dissipate. Silence also changes the emotional tone of the interaction. When people are angry or upset, they often expect resistance. They anticipate being challenged or argued with, and this expectation fuels their energy. But when you respond with silence, you defy their expectations. They are left without the resistance they were prepared for, and this can be disarming. The energy they were directing toward you has nowhere to go, and as a result, it begins to diminish. The absence of opposition creates a space where emotions can settle, allowing both parties to regain their composure and perspective. Another way silence disrupts conflict is by creating uncertainty. When you respond verbally, the other person can interpret your words, tone, and intent. They can use this information to predict your next move or to formulate their own response. But silence leaves them with nothing to work with. It creates ambiguity, which can be unsettling. They begin to question what your silence means and how they should interpret it. This uncertainty shifts their focus away from the conflict itself and toward their own thoughts and feelings. Instead of escalating the situation, they are now caught in a moment of introspection, wondering what your silence might signify. Silence also gives you the upper hand by allowing you to remain in control of your emotions. In the heat of an argument, it's easy to say things you don't mean or to let your emotions get the best of you. This often leads to regrets and further complications. But when you choose silence, you create a pause that allows you to stay grounded. You give yourself the time and space to process your emotions and decide how you want to respond, if at all. This self-control not only protects you from saying or doing something you might regret, but also sends a powerful message to the other person. It shows that you are not reactive, that you are capable of maintaining your composure even in difficult situations. The pause created by silence often has a ripple effect. When one person stops engaging in a conflict, it forces the other person to slow down as well. They are no longer receiving the feedback or resistance that was driving their energy, so they naturally begin to recalibrate. This pause can create an opportunity for reflection and understanding. It gives both parties a chance to step back, reassess the situation, and consider alternative approaches. In this way, silence not only disrupts conflict, but also creates the conditions for resolution and growth. By choosing silence, you are not avoiding the issue or backing down. You are simply refusing to fuel the fire. You are taking control of the situation by refusing to engage in a way that perpetuates the conflict. This choice creates a powerful shift in the dynamic, one that allows emotions to settle, perspectives to shift, and clarity to emerge. Silence is not passive. It is an active and intentional decision to disrupt the cycle of conflict and create space for a more constructive outcome. Silence is one of the most effective ways to foster clarity and self-mastery. In a world that constantly demands your attention and invites emotional responses, silence provides the opportunity to step back and reflect. It creates space between your initial reaction and your final response, allowing you to process the situation in a calm and composed way. In moments of tension or emotional intensity, it is easy to be swept up in the heat of the moment and react impulsively. But silence interrupts this automatic pattern, giving you the time to pause and reflect on what is truly important. When you remain silent, you allow yourself to move beyond the initial emotional charge that can cloud judgment. In moments of conflict or distress, the instinct to react is powerful. The mind races with thoughts, emotions surge, and the body often follows suit, preparing for fight or flight. However, in the midst of this reactionary state, clarity is difficult to achieve. The mind is cluttered with noise, making it harder to think clearly and make decisions from a place of strength. Silence acts as a reset button, creating the space necessary to calm the mind and regain perspective. In this pause, you can detach from the immediate emotional charge and approach the situation with more rationality, allowing you to respond in a way that is aligned with your values and long-term goals. Self-mastery comes when you can maintain control over your reactions, and silence is a powerful tool in this pursuit. In moments of tension, the ability to pause and choose not to respond immediately is a sign of inner strength. It shows that you are not controlled by external circumstances or the actions of others, but rather by your own ability to manage your emotions and impulses. The more you practice silence, the more you begin to notice the patterns in your own reactions. You start to recognize when your emotions are being triggered and understand the deeper motivations behind your impulses. This awareness is the first step toward mastery, as it allows you to make conscious decisions about how to respond, rather than being at the mercy of automatic reactions. Silence also allows you to gain a clearer understanding of the situation at hand. When emotions run high, it can be difficult to see things objectively. You might be caught up in the drama, misinterpreting the actions or words of others based on your own emotional state. By choosing silence, you create a space for reflection. You begin to see the situation from multiple angles, considering not just your perspective, but also the motivations and actions of others. This broader view helps you to make decisions that are more aligned with your values and that take into account the bigger picture. You are no longer making decisions out of anger or fear, but out of wisdom and clarity. Furthermore, silence gives you the opportunity to respond thoughtfully and intentionally. In the heat of the moment, words can fly out before you have had a chance to fully think them through. Once spoken, they cannot be taken back and they can have lasting consequences. But when you choose silence, you allow yourself the time to consider your words carefully. You can weigh the potential impact of your response and decide whether it will move the situation forward in a constructive way. This intentionality not only strengthens your communication, but also reinforces your sense of self-mastery. You are not simply reacting to external stimuli, you are acting with purpose and mindfulness. The clarity that silence brings extends beyond just understanding the situation at hand. It also helps you to gain insight into yourself. When you stop talking and start listening, whether to others or to your own inner thoughts, you become more attuned to your own feelings, desires, and needs. You begin to uncover the deeper motivations that drive your actions and reactions. This self-awareness is the foundation of personal growth and transformation. By cultivating silence, you create the space necessary to connect with your inner wisdom, allowing you to make decisions that are more in line with your authentic self. In this process of self-reflection, silence also fosters a sense of inner peace. When you constantly engage in the noise of the world, whether through external conversations or internal chatter, it is easy to lose touch with your own sense of calm. Silence allows you to reconnect with that stillness, to quiet the mental noise and find a sense of equilibrium. This inner peace is a powerful tool in navigating life's challenges. When you are centered and clear, you are better equipped to handle difficult situations with grace and composure. In moments of silence, you tap into your own power. You regain control over your thoughts, emotions, and actions, allowing you to respond with purpose and clarity. Silence is not just the absence of sound, it is the presence of mastery. It is in these moments of stillness that you truly discover who you are and how you wish to engage with the world around you. By embracing silence, you not only cultivate clarity in the moment, but also lay the groundwork for greater self-mastery in the future. Silence holds the power to communicate messages far beyond the reach of words. In many situations, words are easy to manipulate and distort, but silence cannot be misinterpreted. It carries a weight and depth that no verbal exchange can match. When you choose silence, you send a message that is unequivocal. It often speaks louder than words because it forces the other person to confront the impact of their actions without any external validation or response from you. People expect reactions, responses, and engagement. When those expectations are unmet, silence becomes a powerful form of communication that leaves them with no choice but to consider their own behavior and the consequences of their actions. One of the most profound aspects of silence is its ability to draw attention to the other person's behavior. In the absence of words, the focus shifts from your reaction to the actions or words of the person who provoked you. Without the distraction of defending yourself or arguing your point, the person is left to reflect on their own conduct. The lack of a response forces them to face the reality of the situation, making it more difficult to dismiss or deflect their own accountability. Often, when people are confronted with their own actions in this way, they begin to question themselves, their motives, and the impact they have had on you. Silence, in this sense, becomes a mirror, reflecting their behavior back to them without distortion. This is why silence is such a powerful tool for setting boundaries. People often test your limits, whether intentionally or unintentionally, by saying things that provoke a reaction or attempt to draw you into conflict. The expectation is that you will respond, engage, or retaliate. When you withhold that response, you take away their power. They are no longer able to manipulate the situation in their favor or control the narrative. Your silence establishes a boundary that cannot be easily crossed. It shows that you are in control of the situation and that you are unwilling to be drawn into a cycle of unnecessary conflict. In this way, silence becomes an act of self-preservation, a way of protecting your peace and maintaining your boundaries without the need for explanation or justification. Silence can also lead to deeper reflection and understanding. When people are used to being met with words or arguments, they often become defensive or entrenched in their positions. However, silence can break through this defense mechanism. It creates a space where they can no longer rely on external validation or justification. Without your response to focus on, they are left with their own thoughts and feelings, which often leads them to a moment of introspection. In the silence, they have the opportunity to reevaluate their words, their actions, and their behavior. This self-reflection can be transformative, as it encourages a deeper understanding of their own motivations and the impact of their behavior on others. Another aspect of silence that makes it so effective is its ability to disarm aggression. When someone is confrontational, angry, or aggressive, their words are often designed to provoke a reaction. They want to see you respond, to see if they can get under your skin. But when you choose silence, you deny them that satisfaction. They are left with no reaction to feed off of, and this can deflate their aggression. In some cases, it can even cause them to feel discomfort or unease. When they realize that their attempts to provoke you have failed, they begin to question their own behavior and the need for such aggression in the first place. Silence is also a form of empowerment. In many situations, people feel the need to speak out in order to defend themselves or to be heard. While there are certainly times speaking up is necessary, silence allows you to take control of the situation without giving away your power. It's a conscious decision to withhold. You recognize that your worth and your peace do not depend on the validation of others or the need to explain yourself. Silence, in this sense, becomes an act of personal strength, as it reflects your ability to remain centered and in control, regardless of external circumstances. Finally, silence can create the space needed for true resolution. Often, arguments and conflicts are fueled by misunderstandings, emotions, and reactive behavior. The more people speak, the more entrenched they become in their positions, making it difficult to find common ground. But when you choose silence, you create a moment of pause. In this pause, the emotional charge of the situation can dissipate, allowing both parties to gain perspective and reconsider their positions. This space allows for clearer communication, deeper understanding, and the possibility of resolution without the need for endless back and forth. Silence in this sense can be the foundation for reconciliation, as it provides the space necessary for reflection, understanding, and growth. In moments of tension and conflict, silence stands as a powerful tool for communication, self-mastery, and protection. It serves not only as a shield guarding your peace and energy, but also as a catalyst for introspection, forcing both you and others to confront the truth of the situation. By withholding a response, you disrupt negative cycles, create space for clarity, and maintain control over your emotional state. Silence provides the strength to deflect aggression, to protect your boundaries, and to promote deeper understanding. It is an intentional act that can turn a potentially destructive interaction into an opportunity for reflection and growth. Ultimately, silence communicates a profound message that your peace, your energy, and your self-respect are more important than engaging in conflict. Through silence, you embrace the power of choice, the ability to remain centered amidst chaos, and the wisdom to know when to speak and when to let your silence do the talking.